That's really bad.
Yeah, it's not good.
All I tasted was this like greasiness.
This would be the last one I want an additional bite out of.
I honestly thought that maybe we'll find a spot near our house and I don't have to make a samosa every time I want a samosa. Samosa is the quintessential Indian snack that is found all over the world and is beloved by people everywhere. You can find a samosa shop at almost every street corner in India. Today, we have 3 samosas from neighborhood Indian restaurants that we're gonna try. I've been looking for the perfect samosa since I moved to the US, but I'm still searching. Russ, have you found one?
Maybe we found it today. I've had a couple samosas all in California that are good to okay. Nothing really matches up or lives up to what you can get in India. We're gonna see what's available here in Los Angeles from 3 local places. Let's do it.
All right.
I just can't believe that we bought very similar items from 3 restaurants and just look how different they all are.
Before we rate these samosas, we need to know what an ideal samosa tastes like. So what are we judging these samosas on? So we have 2 aspects, the taste, obviously, and then construction. Under taste, obviously we want the filling to be, perfectly seasoned. We don't want bland boiled potatoes. It's just not worth the calories. And then for the casing, we don't want it to be too thick or too thin. We certainly don't want wonton wrappers. And we want it to be flaky. We don't want it to be tough and crunchy. So 5 points for each and total of 10 points for each samosa. Let's see which one wins.
Pretty similar.
Yeah, I'll grab this one.
Samosa number 1. Cheers.
Cheers. It looks worse than it tastes. I guess that's a good thing.
Looks worse than it tastes.
The filling, as you can see here, is pretty well spiced. It's nicely seasoned. The casing, it looked like a wonton wrapper, but I can tell after tasting that it's not a wonton wrapper. And the texture's not bad.
It does have proper seasoning. The filling tastes pretty good. It's just a little doughy.
Yeah.
Once you get past the outer flaky part, the inner dough is kind of doughy, and that's not what you want.
No, I agree.
I'm tempted to take a second bite here, which I will do anyway. We're rating this out of 5 for taste and out of 5 for texture. I'm gonna give this a 2 out of 5 for texture and a 3 out of 5 for flavor. So
I think that's
it's a
fair.
5 out of 10. 50% F.
I'm gonna rate this from a texture standpoint. I'm gonna give it a 2. I was bordering on 1, but it's not that bad. From a taste, 2.5, so that's 4.5 out of 10.
Okay, yeah, we're in the same ballpark here.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Finish these later. On to the second one. I will grab this one.
I'll grab this one.
Okay, this is already better. This is definitely better than the first one. The shape is more accurate. The filling, I can taste more spices. I can see some spices in here. Just looking at the filling, this seems more like what I've seen from a samosa in India and the good ones I've had in America. This is pretty good.
I like the casing. It's other than, some parts of it being a little overcooked. I think it's cooked through. It doesn't have the same problem that the last one did. The filling is nice. It's got a good mix of whole spices as well as ground spices. I think what I was surprised by is that this is not just potato. It feels like it's got cauliflower and other vegetables in it, and there's a little bit of sweetness from that. That is what I was caught off guard by. But flavor, seasoning, and texture, I think this is better than the previous one.
I agree. Compared to the first one, we have improved on texture. We've also improved on taste. So this gets a 3.5 out of 5 on taste, and we're up to a 3 on texture for me.
I'm gonna give this a 3 on texture and a 3 on taste.
Okay.
That's 6 on 10.
So 2 for 2, I've gone slightly higher than you.
Yeah.
Yeah, seems about right.
Yeah.
On to the last one. We have the third and final samosa. It's a little oily. Can you see that? We're very shiny here. Let's give it a try.
Let's give it a try. Yeah.
It is pretty oily.
Ooh, it's very oily. I think it's just, it needed more time, and also the temperature of the oil wasn't right, which is why it's so greasy.
My God, you're greasy.
All right, let's try this.
Give it a whirl. Honestly, it was oily when I ate it. It was very oily. I could taste the oil, I could feel the oil. However, the filling is the most interesting of the 3. The first one had virtually no spice going on. This has very different spices than the previous samosa, but there's something about the oiliness I don't like, and that's causing this to be like cracky. It's like kind of cracking and not the correct texture.
The cracking, and I don't mind so much. What I have a problem with is, like, look at all this space around the filling. This wasn't stuffed properly, so there's less filling than casing. The proportion isn't right, and so whenever I take a bite, I'm getting more casing than the filling, which is making me think that this is under-seasoned and bland.
I do think it needs a little bit of salt on the inside.
I mean, I couldn't even taste the filling. All I tasted was this like greasiness.
Yeah, this would be the last one I want an additional bite out of. I actually need some water after that. This was not as good as the previous one. This gets a 2 out of 5 for flavor and a 1.5 out of 5 for texture.
3.5 out of 10. That's really bad.
Yeah, it's not good. Even though the shape was more correct than the first one.
For texture or construction, I'm gonna give this 1. It's not the worst, but I just don't love the proportion between the filling and the casing, and there are air pockets inside the samosa, and it's so disappointing when you bite into a samosa and it's not fully stuffed. It's really disappointing. So for that, I'm gonna give this a 1 for construction. For taste, I don't even want to give it a 2, 1.5.
So this was the worst.
Yeah.
What did we just learn?
There are no good samosas in our neighborhood.
I feel like we already knew that. We have confirmed our confirmation bias that it is a challenge to find a good samosa outside of India.
That's for sure. I honestly thought that maybe we'll find a spot near our house and I don't have to make a samosa every time I want a samosa. It takes 4 hours to make. So, the search continues, Ross.
Yes, it does.
Which samosa looked the best to you? Should we find a new place and try out a different dish? Let us know in the comments. Like the video and subscribe to my channel if you want to dive into the depths of Indian cuisine.